Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, wherever you are at. Welcome to Harlem Holistic Wellness Week, the Love Stream by Dr. Flora. Grand morning, grand afternoon, grand evening, wherever you are globally. We thank you for joining us here at the Love Stream, a place where awareness happens, knowledge, freedom, and the flow of the highest vibrations. Discussions and topics that may make you feel uncomfortable as we like it to be. Healing becomes awareness, and the less suffering dissolves and transforms to the heighten of love, light, and clarity. Hot, tasteful, steamy, delicious, cool and warm, but at times fiery, to stimulate your mind, body, and spirit. So as I welcome you today, I want everyone to understand that the reason why Harlem Holistic Wellness Week has been brought up is for awareness, prevention, and enlightenment. And today I will be speaking on acupuncture, the benefits of acupuncture more now than ever for boosting your immune system and helping your respiratory system. So right now I'm going to explain some of the slides, and later we have a special guest, and he will show testimonies on how acupuncture has helped him with his respiratory issues and immune system. Can you please start the slide? Thank you. So welcome to Harlem Holistic Wellness Week. Here more now than ever, the benefits of acupuncture will be spoken by me, Dr. Flora Luyando. Any questions, please feel free to ask. It's very important that you communicate with us so that we can help you with any questions. So the history of acupuncture. Acupuncture has been around for over 2,000 years. It was first developed in China. It balances the body, mind, and genetics. In Chinese, it's known as Qi, Shen, and Yang, body, mind, and genetics. For example, when your body is stressed, it produces negative hormones. These negative hormones can cause mental fogginess or irritability. Other stresses in your bodies can be diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, to even a simple cold. Acupuncture assists in many immune disorders, symptoms that balances your mind and body. So the question is that many people always ask, how does acupuncture work? So one of the first important things to understand, it is painless. It inserts under an unserrated disposable needle into specific body points. It helps unblock negative stresses in your body, and it aims to restore mental health through specific stimulations on points on your body. Acupuncture is known as the most, or one of the most oldest healing practices in the world. So acupuncture specifically in boosting your immune system, scientific research shows that acupuncture increases white blood cells in the body and helps boost the immune system for any threats. It also regulates the immune functions and underlying causes of the diseases by reducing the symptoms and healing your infections. Now, how's that done? Many people ask, how is that done? Well, it works by stimulating the specific portions of your automatic nervous system through selected acupoints. For those of you that are questioning what your autonomic nervous system is, it is a part of the brain system that helps with your breathing, your heart, and digestive nervous system. And it also helps in the responses of immune system by rising your nerves and boosting the messenger hormones. So basically it's saying needles interject certain parts of your body, and the needles start detecting those nerves, and those nerves are stimulating the blockage while opening it up. Related disorders that are included with immunity disorders are such as the common cold, allergies, chronic fatigue, asthma, the autoimmune diseases such as diabetes, hepatitis, or AIDS. Now we're moving on to the respiratory system. Respiratory system is how acupuncture stimulates the blood flow and carries oxygen everywhere through the cells of the body. It increases blood flow and boosts your immune system. It dilates the bronchioles, which is a section part of the lungs. If you can visualize the shape of a vine of grapes, well, that's how your lung system is and the respiratory system is. So, for example, if one of your grapes that you notice when you're eating at home is really soft and mushy and crushed and flat, or you're not getting enough oxygen, well, that's the same thing with the bronchioles. It allows enough oxygen. So if it's too flat, for extensive smokers or for some kind of disorder that they have, it clogs the bronchiole. So what the acupuncture points do, it dilates it. And it also produces against inflammatory agents. So it helps the muscles relax. Study shows that regular acupuncture treatments can actually increase the number of T cells in your bodies. And for those of you that's questioning what T cells are, these are cells that destroy harmful bacteria or viruses in your body. More now than ever, it's very important to understand between bacteria and viruses, especially with the pandemic that we are in right now with the corona-19. Acupuncture needles stimulate the brain in thinking that an invader, such as viruses or bacteria, has entered the body. It also has a brain signal that increases the T cells and white blood cells to fight the intruders, which the intruders are bacteria and bacteria. The amazing part of increasing cell responses is that acupuncture can last for a few days. So summing it up, if you can look at the map, this is pretty much a form of a map on your body meridians, or also known as channels, that has an entire map. And for you New Yorkers out there or city folks that have been to New York City, the best way I can explain the map is like you're in different stations in the train system. For example, you have major hubs, right? You're on 42nd Street, 149th Street, Grand Concourse in the Bronx. You got Harlem, 125th Street, and 42nd Street, Times Square are major hubs. So for example, you're in the train system and your parts are those types of streets and you're clogged up. So for example, it's crowded in the train, or you have anxiety, or someone is playing loud music and you're getting disturbed, right? So those spots, 42nd Street, 72nd Street, 125th Street is clogged up. Well, if you start placing needles in those parts of your map, you're releasing blockage and stressors. Well, that's the same thing on the Meridian channels on your body. It's like a map or a train system on your body. When you feel much better, you feel released. When there's less people on the train, less noise, you feel more relaxed. That's pretty much the same as your body meridians. So your immune system is what keeps you healthy, and it helps you ward off pathogens like flu, the cold, or a virus. Most of us don't spend a lot of time worrying about our immune system until we're sick. And unfortunately, that's a terrible thing to start thinking about, and understanding that we should start thinking about preventative medicine. So over-the-counter medications such as that, we rely on it for symptoms. But by looking at the TCM as traditional Chinese medicine, we can support our immune system in natural ways. So I pointed out some points out here that we can do at home that can be very helpful. One of the simple points that you can do at home, especially if you're watching and you're having some symptoms of asthma issues, because this is the season now for asthma and allergies during the springtime. The acupuncture point kidney 27 is a very powerful point. Later on throughout the show, I will visually show it to you as well, so that you know exactly you can do when you're at home. So kidney 27 is an immune boosting superstar. We call it a superstar in the Chinese medicine world because it's very helpful for the upper respiratory system and flu systems in acupuncture. It is also part of the kidney system, which is very good in helping you breathe and grasp your lung qi. Lung qi in Asian medicine, qi means energy, moving. So the kidney helps grasp the lung qi, meaning it can distribute the air and enter into the lungs and throughout the rest of the body. And it's very accessible in your body. Kidney 27 is located right underneath your collarbone and about an inch down your collarbone. You start palpating and just remember they're pairs, so it is bilateral. You can start tapping and pressing here, closing your eyes, allowing you to breathe in and out. That will allow stimulation and unclog blockage. Another popular point around this time is the large intestine 11. It is known as a fever-reducing point, and it helps prevent colds and flus. It is also an immune-compromising condition. In fact, in Japan, it is known as Kiku Masutatsu, and it is known as the master immune point in your body. So in Japan, they really strongly feel that large intestine 11 is a very strong point to boost your immune system and allows to reduce fever. And so this is very important more now than ever, again, with the coronavirus, that these are symptoms that can increase with viruses. So if you start feeling that you're feeling a little warm, LI11, very simple. It is located in the lateral side of your thumb at the edge and corner of your elbow. So the side of your thumb, the corner of your elbow, you press right here. Stimulation will allow to reduce fever and help boost your immune system. Another important point to help reduce inflammation in your body as well. So another picture that I have here so that it can be very clear is the body meridians. Again, it's like, for those of you that live in New York City or been in New York City, it's like a map in your body. So train system, major stops. So LI11 that I'm pointing out to the thumbs are very important to your system. It's just like 42nd Street is a major hub. 125th is a major hub. So this is a major hub as well. It's one of the massive points to help increase your immune system. Then you have points in between that does its job as well. So if you're going to 21st Street, that's not a major hub in New York City, but it has its purpose too. Okay, so that concludes my slideshow. And now we're going to be inviting a very important guest, and his name is Brian Hannsen, and we will welcome him in. Thank you and be well for watching this slide.
Hi, Dr. Flora.
Hello, Brian. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm glad that you are here. And for those of you that don't know Brian Hannsen, I want to explain and definitely give him a little shout out because he does a lot. But he doesn't like to show it. He's one of my patients, and he was very, very open to speaking about what acupuncture is, how important it is, especially more now than ever. I've been treating him since the coronavirus, and he was digitally coming in. And so he wants to speak about it. But before he talks about acupuncture, I want to give his background. So Brian Hannsen has he's an associate director of the management communications and clinical assistant professor in the University of New York. He has attended Shanghai in China as a clinical assistant professor since 2015 until 2019, and he loves to travel. He also owns a nonprofit organization called Social Impact Scholars and does a lot of consultations for small businesses. We'll talk a little bit about that as well, because we know that coronavirus is being affected by a lot of small businesses. So he'll give you information later on that as well. So Professor Hannsen holds a degree in California as well in international relations, and also organizational psychology degree as well. Welcome, Brian.
That's nice to be here. Thanks for having me. It's exciting.
I'm glad. So, we have a few questions. And before we go further into the questions, please tell us a little bit about yourself in teaching in Shanghai, China.
Yeah, sure. So in the management communication department, we basically, just like it sounds, we teach our students to communicate. Our students are business leaders. We teach them to communicate and to deal with change as much and as well as they can. But it's not quite as simple as it sounds, right? It's not just about like the words you say. It's about really exploring things like empathy and self-awareness, listening, knowing the strategy behind how to connect to your audience, using the right words, and yes, delivering it the right way. And it's really exciting. We do this with like business leaders. We do this on the individual level with teams. And I do that here in New York. I've also done it in Shanghai, in our campus in Shanghai as well. So I think the number one thing about talking about China is that to teach this stuff in a foreign country that I'm not super familiar with, you really have to embody the things that I'm teaching, right? Like I can't go in there knowing all the answers. You also, as a teacher, need to have empathy and self-awareness and connect with your audience and listen and be able to choose the right words the right way. In order to connect and be, an effective teacher. And so I guess it's exciting to think that what I do, it's not good enough just to be able to teach it. You truly have to do it. And, I really learned a lot about that from being in China.
Yeah, China is a wonderful place. I had the opportunity to be in Shanghai as well, and be in Nanjing, the southern part of China, to really improve my skills, because I believe when you learn something, you should go to the source. And my opportunity to go to China and study there for a whole month was amazing, to learn more techniques in this beautiful medicine that we call an art as acupuncture. And that's the beautifulness about it, is understanding the beauty of art. And to me, when acupuncture is that, I feel that it's much easier every day to insert needles into people's body. And that being said, your testimony on how I, Dr. Flora's therapeutic treatment helped you during your respiratory chest pain and low immune system.
Yeah, so I came in every winter. I have the same issue. Like my back hurts. I think it's with the change of weather, but I also had just been moving. I carried like a backpack for like 10 miles. It's a long story, but anyway, back really hurt. It happens regularly. I actually went to the doctor because I had shortness of breath. And of course, this was when COVID-19 was all starting to emerge here in the US and in New York. And I freaked out, right? I went into the doctor and the doctor's like, nope, this is not a problem with your lungs. I went to a cardiologist. Nope, not a problem with your heart. So I was like, yeah, but I still have massive back pain. And I realized that, I've only been able to really get, help with my back from acupuncture. And I've been doing it for years, but I kind of stopped in the last couple of years. So I found Dr. Flora, and here I am. It really made a huge difference. And just two more things to say about this is, within 1 or 2 sessions of working with Dr. Flora on my back, it was clear that the breathing and the respiratory issues were connected to the pain in the back. And just with a few sessions, the pain went away so dramatically that I was like, yeah, I got to get back on this train and continue my acupuncture. And Dr. Flora is awesome. She really does a good job with all of that. So it made me feel better, and I appreciate it.
And that's what's important, because the reason why I have you here, because I'm very a private person, and I've learned that more now than ever since coronavirus to speak up. Yes, I'm very talkative, and yes, I can be loud at times, especially the H2 committee knows that about myself, but I've always been an extroverted, shy person. But I believe now it's important to speak on so much health issues and showing preventative medicine and alternative medicine. So I thank you for coming here and allowing the world to know that you don't have to be on medication forever.
Yeah.
And this is what it is. I come from an Eastern and Western background, so I combine both. I believe each has its purpose, but there's a time and place when you no longer need pharmaceutical medicine. And for you to come here and express that, it's very important for people to start understanding. So the more we speak and share knowledge, the easier people can live together. And when you got into the office, I noticed that you were open to it. And I want other people to understand, to be at least open to it. Can you explain a little bit about that and tell the world why you be a little bit more open to acupuncture?
Yeah, I mean, there are two things that come to mind. One is that, there's no such thing as a quick, immediate, magical fix, right? Like, you've really got to be in it. You've got to be in it with anything, whether you're taking medicine, going to the doctor for acupuncture, whatever it might be. And so, I think the big misconception about anything, including acupuncture, is that, if I go for a 20-minute appointment, like, all will be better. You've got to invest. You've got to be committed. You've got to be open to it. And honestly, I've had back problems for years, and every time I go, it goes away, right? And it's you have to be open to it. You got to be in it, and you've got to be willing to invest the time in order to properly treat and heal your body. And Dr. Flora really walks me and everyone through that, and I think that's super helpful. But yeah, I was just going to tell one more story. Is I went in. This was a couple years ago by now, but I had a massive cold. Like, when you get that feeling like a cold is going to come on, and you're like, ugh. And I went in, and I didn't know what was going to happen with acupuncture for things like a cold. Usually it's for my back or something like that. And I walked out of there, and like an hour later, I felt like the cold had just completely gone. And I think, you've got to trust the process, and you've got to trust the system. Dr. Flora is like a highly trained expert in this. So, you're not just like going in and having a couple needles stuck somewhere in your body. Like, she knows exactly where to put them, and it makes a huge difference, and you have to trust it.
Thank you. And that's what we are here for, to speak today upon, is that you have to trust the process, and you have to understand that preventative medicine is not a quick fix. So it starts from day one. It starts from your home, and understanding that it's not a quick pill. Right? Because what pills do, suppress it most of the time. What acupuncture does, it really goes into the nervous system, into the automated system, and allows to open up signals into your nerve system through your DNA, and starts opening up those blockages. And that's why certain times it doesn't come back. That's why the pain doesn't come back. The only time it comes back is maybe because of lifestyle, right? You have a lifestyle, and you continuously do the things that you're not supposed to do, right? So wear and tear on your body. So if you don't take care and show that self-care, then yes, it's not going to be as efficient, but it's definitely going to be more efficient than not having acupuncture at all.
I do feel like that's the other thing that you've really helped me with, which is, it's not just the needles, it's not just the treatment, it's the questions and the conversation to keep me in check, right? The reason why I have continuous back problems is because I wear a heavy backpack, and I go hiking, and I do whatever I might be doing. And you have to remember and remind yourself, like, even right now as I'm sitting, like, she is constantly on me to sit properly, and I got a new chair, and but that's a big part of this process too, right? You actually call me out on my stuff, right? To make sure that I'm living the best life that I can, and I don't need to have, treatments maybe forever, or it can change and evolve over time, so that I'm just really focusing on, keeping it moving without like all these issues that are going on. So
right. And that's what it is. My name is Dr. Flo for no reason, huh? I get tough love. I do. I'm well known for that, but it's about love. And I am a person that when you come into my office, and just like I am so happy and thankful to be a part of this Love Stream show, is I make you feel uncomfortable so that you can open up your heart, so that you can open up the things that have been blocked in for so long and express your emotions. So I am that person. And you feel safe and very sure that nothing harmful is going to happen. So, please express how you feel when you walk into the office.
Yeah, I mean, well, when I walked into the first time I walked in, to be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect. I was nervous, right? I think that's common. Instantly, I filled something out. She got to know me. We spent a really long time just chatting. And, I think that's so important because, you're not going to just treat like one thing. You're thinking about the whole body. And she or you, I can talk to you specifically, do, really, really thorough questioning and conversation before even getting started. And that really put me at ease. I felt like I was being heard. I feel like every time I went in, she'd ask genuinely how I was doing. She'd take notes and wonder what's changed. And that's the sort of thing that, I think you should be expecting when you're getting this type of treatment. Like this shouldn't just be, in the past, I've gotten it before. Frankly, I'd go in, I would have no conversation. They would throw a couple of needles in me. It did feel good. It was helpful. But this is so much more so because it's holistic. It's a whole conversation. And anyway, it really does make a difference.
Thank you. And this is what it's all about. It's about holistic, the whole body, mind, and spirit. And that leads me to my next question. How long have you been receiving acupuncture with Dr. Flora and the results that you received? And how immediate did you feel with the results?
Yeah, so I've seen Dr. Flora since the beginning of the year when the weather changed. Like I said, my back started to hurt. And, ever since then, I've been going back, pretty regularly. So the beginning, I had back pain when I walked in and I don't now. I think that actually went away. I mean, there might have been a couple times again with my lifestyle that it came back, but we dealt with it. But over the course of those 4 or 5 months, it's gone away. And now we're focusing on a whole bunch of other things. Like you were saying earlier, my immune system and my breathing, posture, all of the things that make a difference in the way I live my life. So, yeah.
And you said the right key, your lifestyle, holistic. This is what Harlem Holistic Wellness Week is about. It's about focusing on every part of your being. And please share the myths about perceiving how to receive acupuncture, about it being painful.
Yeah.
Very clear about that.
Yeah.
Because when people think about needles, it's like,
There's a movie that I remember watching where there were these big needles and then you fall over, and in any way, none of that happens, right? I mean, you think, oh, it's just going to push a bunch of needles like when you go get a shot or whatever. It doesn't feel anything like that. It's sort of like, it's like if you took your fingernail and were to push it into your skin. It really is not a painful process. I know some people are also freaked out because they think, oh my gosh, has this needle been in somebody else? Or, what's going on? Like you use disposable needles. I mean, all the things, it's, our health, our welfare, even down to like when I walk into the room, and I go into the office, Dr. Flora is like, you got to give me a few minutes. And I hear her, she is like meticulously cleaning the room and making sure that it's like completely ready for the next patient, so that when we go in there, it's a sterile, sanitized, healthy environment. It doesn't hurt. She plays music. Sometimes she puts herbs. I don't know what the word is, but she makes some herb thing go on, and I can smell some good stuff in the office. The lighting is perfect. And frankly, I go in there sometimes, and even if I don't have back problems, it's just nice to go in there. And I come out and I'm like, I feel like $1 million. This is a good feeling.
Well, I'm glad, because again, holistically, hygiene has always been very important for me anyway. So I didn't know you heard me cleaning like that. I've been known in my household to be a very neat freak, but it comes in handy in the health field, and especially more now than ever, coronavirus, some of the things that they were saying about washing your hands and stuff has always been very important for me. And so that leads to my next question. During the beginnings of the corona, when it came to New York City, please explain that I still had it open and you were still coming.
Yeah.
Please describe some of that experience and how you feel about it being a New Yorker, experiencing the whole coronavirus thing and receiving treatment to prevent that, because I was boosting your immune system for that.
Yeah, actually, because my back was feeling better at that point. So it was really at that point more about staying healthy, boosting my immune system as much as possible. I was, like all of us, really, really concerned about contracting the virus. I did not, want to come anywhere close to that. And I continued to go. I continued to see Dr. Flora until we were no longer allowed to see each other in person because of the law. But even when a lot of people were staying home, it was the one place I said, you know what, this is a medical professional. I want to go and see Dr. Flora. We were still allowed at that point to see one another. And it really made a difference in terms of, just I would go in sometimes being a little bit kind of down, tired, whatever, which obviously has a really negative effect on how I can fight the infection or anything that's coming into my body. I would walk out of there, like I said, feeling like $1 million. She gave me advice on things to drink, things, she would put herbs into the air, like I said, that would help like clear my nose and make my respiratory system as strong as possible. She would give me, the treatments that she thought were best for my breathing. She would work with me on all of that. And once I went that first week, again, my back was fine. I was like, I'm going to keep going. This is great. So important. And I feel like I'm stronger as a result.
You're such a true New Yorker, because us New Yorkers, we're going to keep going at it, And I really, really commend you for that, because I was like, yes, essential workers out there, we have to be there for you guys. I took an oath to make sure that that's going to happen, but I also make sure that I take care of myself so that I can be ready for you guys. And yes, thank you for expressing that acupuncture can help in respiratory issues and boosting your immune system. And you came in and you recognized that we were just as important as any other doctor out there in the Western world, because we have a tendency to think that medicine, like what I do, Reiki energy, naturopathic, doesn't seem to work, or doesn't even seem, it seems like foo-foo medicine, but that's not the case at all. It's been around longer than Western medicine, and it has helped for many years, and it has ousted so many myths. Sometimes people feel like you have to see something to believe it. No, most of the time you should feel it. And that's what made a difference with you. You were feeling a difference. Can you explain a little bit further on that to the community out there that's watching?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, when you have the energy and you feel like you've got, when you're sort of like dragging and down or whatever, I mean, you're not in a good place to fight a virus that's attacking New York City and the whole world, right? So for me, knowing that I was, I had energy, I felt like I could breathe in and breathe deeply and move around and get myself to my fullest potential. I knew that my body would be in the best position to be able to fight whatever was going into my body. So yeah, I mean, you can feel it. You feel the energy, if nothing else, that energy that makes you know that like you're good. Like, again, like, I mean, I obviously still wash my hands. I still wore a mask. Like, I'm not pretending that like, I'm not like Superman or whatever, but it felt good. It felt good to know that I was in my best self and my best shape in order to like go out and do all the things that I need to do and not be exposed unnecessarily to the virus.
Exactly. And that's what's important to understand, that, let's try to get rid of the myth. And that's why Harlem Holistic Wellness Week is here every year. And I look forward to 2021 to speak further with the rest of my committee, because we need to stop this myth, of where the type of medicine that we do in Eastern medicine, that like Qigong, Tai Chi, acupuncture, chiropractor, naturopathic medicine, is foo-foo. It's not. And if we can be more open to it and blending Western and Eastern, examples like Brian Hannsen can breathe better, think clear, less anxiety, because he is taking his own hands, his own direction on his own healing. And that's what's important, is to take that importance and take initiative. And, if you find, for those of you that had acupuncture and believe that you had a treatment and it didn't work, well, guess what? Just like any other doctor in the Western world, keep finding the right practitioner until you find the right one. Because not everyone meshes together, not everyone blends. So it's not the medicine. You have to look at the practitioner, because the medicine has been around for years and has helped many. So you have anything to add about that? Because you've had treatments in Shanghai, you had treatments in other places, but you continue to see me. So that's proven by that. Can you please explain a little further on that?
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, I believed in acupuncture for years. I got it when I was in Shanghai. I obviously also did it here in New York for many years before then. And, I mean, I've had a positive experience overall, but, a lot of the times the experience has still been I walk in, I lie down, I get needles, and then I leave. And there isn't really a conversation. And I think that's what really made me want to continue to go see Dr. Flora, is that, I would come in and she would be like, I know last week your shoulder hurt. Like, I'm curious to know if that's better. Where are you at now? Like, what's going on in your personal life? Like, how are you doing, in a lot of other ways as well? It's not just like, let's just focus on this one part of your body or whatever. And that holistic, comprehensive sort of discussion makes me keep coming back. And I highly recommend Dr. Flora. You're awesome. I'm not being paid to say any of this, right? Like, this is just
no, we're not. You're not. I'm not.
I'm a commercial. I feel like, but I mean it. I wouldn't come on here if I didn't believe in specifically, well, obviously acupuncture, but specifically Dr. Flora. I think you really bring a lot to this process and to the treatment, and it makes such a difference.
Thank you. And I want you to express how you feel during the Corona-19, and how do you feel to give a simple quote to anyone that may be fearful at this moment if they wanted acupuncture.
Yeah, I mean, a simple quote: start with telemedicine, right? I mean, you obviously can't see Dr. Flora in person right now. I mean, I think that's, we're all following the rules of the government and trying to do the best we can. But, there's not going to be a needle through the computer, obviously. But I guess I teach my students to be concise, so I need to do this too. I mean, trust the process, right? Develop a relationship, have a conversation. A lot of the healing and the energy is not just through the needle. It's through a lot of things that I can't really explain and don't totally understand. But obviously Dr. Flora has spent, so much of her, career figuring out. And so trust the process, talk to her, see what's going on with some of those fears, and, let the process play out. And then eventually in real life, when we can see each other again, yeah, keep going. Get that. Acupuncture will only add to the overall process. I think that's my quote. That's not short.
You said that quote: trust the process.
There you go. Okay.
Trust yourself and trust your practitioner. So if you choose to come to me, I am here. And that's at florahealing.com. But if you have someone that's nearby, then go to the acupuncturist. Because why I'm here is not only because it's my show and it says Love Stream with Dr. Flora, and I'm saying, hey, everyone come to me. No, I am educating people on this beautiful medicine. And what I also recommend is, if you are in Brooklyn, right? Some people don't like to travel that far. Well, you find the best acupuncturist that fits you in Brooklyn. Now, maybe it's not in Brooklyn and you have to travel all the way to the Bronx or Manhattan. Then that's what you do. Because I've had patients that come all the way from Long Island, Suffolk County, to come visit me, right? So you have to find the right person. I even have people coming from Jersey, South Jersey as well, because at the end of the day, it's about a connection. So if you find that practitioner, maybe you may need someone that's close by, maybe 10, 15 minutes away. You have to find out what's best for you. And again, as Brian says, trust the process. And that's very important to say to everyone out here globally. And since you were talking about virtual and telemedicine, for those of you that don't know what that is, I've been doing that for years. way before the whole COVID-19 existed. I've been doing that type of medicine privately in my office for those patients that actually moved to the West Coast or out of the country. And what I do is provide, and this was way before Zoom. I was using Skype. And I would actually perform energy work. There are types of energy that you can actually help heal people through the energy of a computer or without the computer, through different healing methods. And it does exist. And for a long time, I never spoke about it. I only spoke about it privately in my office because most people would have been thinking, oh my gosh, what's that? That's crazy. And I strongly knew it worked. I strongly believed in it, but I didn't want to go into that conversation of, well, this, well, that. And look, now more than ever during the whole Corona, people are more open to it. So I've been doing this for years. And Brian was one of those that, hey, when I mentioned it to him, he was like, I'm down for it. So please explain what telemedicine, also known as virtual medicine, is about.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is similar to what you would do in the actual office, right? Like I lie down somewhere comfortable. Dr. Flora calls me typically a little bit before, gives me a couple of instructions in terms of what I should be like. I need to have like a glass of water next to me. There's a certain type of towel that I should put down or whatever. And then I lie down and I open my computer and we talk. She can see me the whole time. She gives me things to do. Like I need to place my hand and like nothing difficult to do, but like put my hand on my heart or my chest or sometimes on my throat or whatever. And then she really takes me through the breathing process. She asks me questions. Like I said, we still have the same conversation that we would have in person. And from there, I would like to say that there's one way that the session goes, but I think that's the whole point, is that each session is whatever needs to be done in that moment. And again, you trust the process, and very similar actually to being in the office. The only difference obviously is I'm not putting needles into my own body. I think that's something that I only want a trained professional to do.
I wouldn't want you to do that either.
Yeah. So that's the only real difference. Is that there isn't a needle during this process, but a lot of like I said, a lot of the actual in-person acupuncture also isn't about the needles. It's about the whole healing and conversation that goes along with it. And yes, there are needles as well. So it really is very similar. And as long as you've got a computer or a phone or something with a camera, I mean, I guess you could also do it without a camera. In my opinion, I really like to be able to see Dr. Flora so that we can have, more of a connection, but whatever it takes, I feel like, she'll walk you through what to do. And from there, you walk out or you close off the computer or whatever, it's feeling the same way as you would if you leave the office. It's really not any different.
Yeah. And see, to be very clear, that's very important to let everyone out there know that there really isn't any difference. It's about energy. It's about transforming energy and allowing a professional to help you assist in alleviating that blockage. There was one time, you had mentioned and you were like, wow, that pain on my side of my ribs released.
Yeah.
Because every treatment is different. That's one thing beautiful about this medicine and acupuncture, that it is an art. You can draw a beautiful leaf. The next day you do another drawing, it's never going to be the same. And that is the way I do my treatments, because your body is always transforming. Your body is always changing. And for me, that is the key to one of the benefits of receiving acupuncture. Can you explain a little about that and tell the audience that every treatment is different, including virtual?
Yeah. Well, I think what's so interesting is that even the last one that we had wasn't that long ago. Sometimes Dr. Flora will be like, "How do your shoulder blades hurt right now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I didn't tell you that before." And so she'll come back and be like, "Yeah, I think I'm figuring, or I can feel right now that you have a lot of tension here." Or she'll say, "Stick your tongue out and look at the camera," and she'll be able to diagnose all sorts of things going on with me simply just by looking at my tongue, which she also does in person, right? But obviously you can still do that if you have a camera. And, I think at the end of the day, this whole experience, it's not, it's totally, it just keeps changing, right? I mean, every single time you go in, it is what's happening in that moment. And she can figure that out from remote. And obviously she can do that as well in person. I have walked in with, even just on this very floor right next to me, like I've had a pain in my back. And at the end, I felt better. I felt like the pain had gotten better. I'm more relaxed. I feel like I'm breathing better. I worry about my posture so much more. So I don't know. I feel like that's the best way to describe the way I feel when I go through this process, whether it's virtual or in person.
And thank you for expressing that. And for those of you that have any questions right now, the platform is open. Please ask now. We want you to participate. If you have a question for Brian, if you have a question for me, please express yourself. This is the reason why we are here, to help each other move forward and live the best life we can. And in the meantime, we'll wait for some of these questions. Tell the audience how to reach you, especially if they want advice on small nonprofit organizations.
Sure. Yeah. So I do run a nonprofit called the Social Impact Scholars. The idea is to find, right now it's about students in college, any college. So any first year freshman in college, one of the problems is you can't get experience until you have experience. But how do you get experience if you don't have experience? So I create this internship where I train them and I give them some basics around the business world and consulting and social impact. And then I work with social entrepreneurs all over the world, and I connect these students with those social entrepreneurs. I train them, and I give those students an opportunity to have a real consulting type relationship with a business. If you would love to get involved, if you are a small business owner and you're looking for a group of talented but like eager and young students to tackle a challenge that you're currently facing, it could be related to COVID-19 or otherwise, please, the website is there, and you can connect with me very, very easily there. And I would love to work with you and allow my students access. If you're willing, I'm willing. I would love to help my students help you and get them experience. It's so rewarding.
Yes, social impact scholar.org. If you're interested in that, Brian Hannsen can be reached at social, SOCIAL, impact, IMPACT, C as in Charlie, T as in Tom, scholars, SCHOLARS.org. And that's going to lead me to the next question, because as I say, we ask questions that most people do not want to talk about. So my next question is, we know that the COVID-19 has affected a lot of small businesses, especially like places like New York City. They may not even come back to their own community, which is unfortunate. Like the communities in Harlem and the South Bronx. Can you please express a little bit of what you think about that? And if they need help, how can they be helped?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different things going on in my mind right now. I think in terms of, there are ways to work with your community virtually right now if you can't go out in person. And I'm happy to share resources if you reach out to me. I have a whole bunch of thoughts on even just virtual volunteerism right now and some of that. But for these small businesses, especially, if they're like a food sort of restaurant or whatever, if you can afford anything you can afford for getting like takeout and delivery and, going to these businesses. And, if you're one of those, I fight the urge to use like Amazon.com, because I can go to this store, the bodega around the corner, and I can also get the same things. It's, if I wear a mask and gloves, I'm going to be okay. Right. Like, you just got to be smart about it. But using your buying power as much as you can for these businesses. And then when we do open, you got to hit it hard. If you can, whatever you can afford. I know that's really, really challenging right now too. I mean, a lot of us are out of work, so I get that there's a lot of challenges ahead. But if you can in any way support these businesses, we got to, like, whenever we hit in June or whenever it might be, we got to go. We got to go hard.
Yeah, support small businesses.
They need it.
That's how communities continue to thrive. Please understand that the Love Stream by Dr. Flora is more than just health and acupuncture. Holistically, financially, wealth, internally, externally, that's what holistic health is about. That includes financial, that includes health, that includes community, that consists of community service, respecting and supporting each other. That's something that we have to remember. And this is why COVID-19 is a blessing in disguise. Brian Hannsen not only has been the opportunity to travel to China, he's also been doing some work in Kenya. Can you express a little bit of Kenya, Africa?
Yeah, sure. So I've actually worked in Central America. I've worked in East Africa, all over Europe in different ways. My job has been, especially in East Africa, has been to work with small businesses, not as some, like, white Westerner who, like, has all the answers, but as someone who almost as an educator says, all right, so these business leaders have really figured out how to create and develop a business many times without a formal education. And sometimes they hit a wall, right? I mean, they get to a point where they're like, I want to do more, but I just don't have the tools in order to do that. And so it was almost like a mini MBA or a mini like graduate school for some of these business leaders, and just basically tailoring what is it that what is it that you're trying to achieve, and how can I expose you to things that you may not know, and not just like from like the Western school of thought, but in general, like how can we make sure that you have the tools you need in order to run the business the way you think is best. And so
holistically.
Yeah. So, and again, it's not me telling people what to do. It's me saying, for example, all right, let's talk about motivation, because I've studied that my whole life. Like, so what is it that motivates people? How do you tap into that? What does that even mean as a leader? A lot of these leaders have been like, this is what you must do, like bottom, like top to the bottom, like I'm my way or the highway kind of thing. And if you can even let people know, like, this is universal. How do people actually feel motivated to make change? And you can enlighten folks on that. They can tap into their own staff, their own employees in ways that I would never know how to do, because they understand how motivation works, and they can make a ton of change.
Absolutely. That motivation is also how we say, look at the cup full.
Yep.
Right? Or take time to smell the flowers. It starts mentally, how you start, right? How you think. And that's the same thing in owning a small business, or thinking about your health, or helping the young lady across the street with her bags, right? It's attitude, motivation. And because you have a degree in organizational psychology, that also helps. Mm-hmm. And it's important for that. And that's why it is important to continue to think holistically. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, that wraps it up. We pretty much hit on acupuncture. We hit on many, many differences of healing, to including how to save small businesses. And, you've also been to Central America. And so you're whirly. And I think that's what's important. Traveling is one of the best medicines.
Yeah.
And so keep doing what you're doing, Brian.
You too. I'll keep seeing you. We'll keep chatting. This is great. And
yes. Yes, we'll keep seeing each other behind the needles. We'll make it through. And for those of you that want to reach out for Brian, we're closing it out. Any last words, Brian?
Thank you to Dr. Flora and to this show for, making sure everyone knows about acupuncture and holistic healing. It works. Trust the process. And thank you for having me here. I really believe in this, and I'm so happy that I'm able to share my perspective and help more people as much as possible take advantage.
Thank you, Brian, and we appreciate you as well. So closing it out here at Love Stream, where places are everywhere in your own spirit to make you feel uncomfortable so that you can really find the truth within. Thank you, Harlem Holistic Wellness Week. Stay tuned for the next show that's coming up with my girl, Bailey, at 6 p.m. She's going to talk about the grief of any kind of loss coming up at 6 p.m. So stay tuned. And I thank you, Dr. Flora Luyando. If you want any questions or have any questions about acupuncture, please reach out at florahealing.com. Thank you very much, wherever you're at. Peace and blessings to you all. Stay well and be safe. Thank you for watching.